Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Jessie Brand, Director of Programs and Operations for the Global Wellness Institute and Summit. Welcome to the Doctors Inclusive with Dr. Nicola Finley. Please introduce yourself in the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. Before we get started, here are some quick logistics. You can select either speaker view or gallery view depending on your preference. Please keep yourself muted when you're not speaking. I will mute everyone now to minimize background noise. And speakers, just remember you need to unmute yourself. Everyone is muted now. If you have a question or comment, please use the raise hand feature located in the participant section. We will have a Q&A section towards the end, so please keep your questions to that time frame. And we encourage everyone to turn on their camera if you can, as it helps facilitate a more engaging discussion. This call is being recorded, and we will share the recording, chat log, resources in a follow-up email today. It is my pleasure to introduce Nancy Davis, Chief Creative Officer and Executive Director of the Global Wellness Summit and Institute, who will present today's program featuring Dr. Nicola Finley and our special guest. Nancy, good morning. Over to you.
Good morning, Jessie, and well done since it's 6 a.m. for you. So much gratitude. And hello, everyone. The Doctor is Inclusive series was born of our collective desire to educate ourselves about the challenges facing underserved communities with respect to health and wellness, and to also learn what we, as a passionate, committed global industry, could do to lead change. One way we as an organization try to lead that change is through the Susie Ellis Scholarship for Equity and Wellness. This program was launched in 2021 on the 15th anniversary of the Global Wellness Summit to honor Susie Ellis, founder of the Summit and the Global Wellness Institute, and to ensure part of her tremendous legacy. Susie has always been committed to furthering equity in the wellness industry, and the scholarship that bears her name is testament to that. Since its inception, this program has welcomed to the Summit family a diverse and powerful group of individuals who seek to empower their communities and further the cause of wellness everywhere. Scholarship recipients are brought to an annual Global Wellness Summit, all expenses paid, to immerse themselves in the culture of wellness on the international stage. They make meaningful connections that impact the work they do when they return to their communities. The Susie Ellis Scholars are an important group in our global wellness world, and we have plans to increase the number of scholarships awarded each year. The scholarship program could not exist without the support of a committed group of individuals and foundations, which over the years has included Katrine and Bill Formby, Rick Stollmeyer, founder of MindBody, the ZK Family Foundation, the John W. Brick Mental Health Foundation, and the support we receive through our annual auction at the Global Wellness Summit. I'm going to put Katrine on the spot, who is on the call today because she is endlessly supportive, and just ask her to quickly tell us why she supports this program. If you would unmute Katrine and tell us.
I love helping people attend the Global Wellness Summit who need to attend, would like to attend, but for some reason can't attend. So it's a pleasure to meet the scholars and I'm actually impressed with how much they're already doing in their countries when they come to the Global Wellness Summit. So I look forward to meeting more of them next year.
Thank you, Katrine. And it should be noted that Katrine was the very first person who donated to this cause, to this scholarship program, and has every year since. So can we just have a little, one of those little yes for Katrine?
Thank you.
So Nicola Finley is not only the host of this Doctor is Inclusive series, but also a member of the Global Wellness Summit Advisory Board. along with her colleague on the board, Hannah Messerly, and our own Jessie Brandt. The Susie Ellis Scholarship for Equity and Wellness program is shepherded and executed beautifully, from application to acceptance, including the on-site mentoring of the scholars by members of the Summit Advisory Board. It's an extraordinary opportunity and a program worthy of its namesake, the extraordinary Susie Ellis. And I know how passionately Susie feels about this program. And I wonder, Susie, if you would just say something about the program and the scholars.
Happy to do so. And first of all, I want to thank Nancy and highlight the fact that it was her idea to do this in the first place. I was very honored when she wanted to name it after me, and thank you for that. But I wanted to share with you my vision that I had actually in January this year. I was at an event, and I was thinking, I'm so impressed, just like Katrine said, with the scholars who come and what I'm learning from them. I thought at first this would be about, these scholars would come and they would learn from all of us, and then they would go back and it would help whatever they're doing. But I'm finding that I learned from them. And so my vision for the future is, I thought, what if we had 25 people, 25 scholars at each summit, so that they would be everywhere at all the lunches and the dinners and in the different breakouts and whatever, so that more people can mix with others who are doing things, as Katrine said, they're already doing a lot of things in wellness, but in a whole different space from where a lot of the people who actually attend are working. So anyway, that's my hope for the future. But in the meantime, I'm just really thankful to you, Nancy, and to everyone that's making this possible.
Thank you, Susie. And the scholars are brought on stage by Susie at the summit. And there's a conversation that takes place, and people really do get to know them. And there's just tremendous value mutually in this relationship. So now I will turn it over to the esteemed Dr. Finley to introduce our special guests today, 3 of last year's scholarship recipients. Nicola?
Great. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Susie. This wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the Global Wellness Summit and their mission to empower equity. And a big shout out to Jessie, who does a lot behind the scenes. So let me go ahead and get a big round of applause for Jessie. Let me go ahead and get started so we can meet our 3 scholars. And here we go. Great. So I'll give you an outline of what we'll do today in the next 50 minutes or 45 minutes. We will introduce the scholars. In addition, a small PowerPoint presentation. We heard some reflections from Susie Ellis, which is just so nice to hear. We'll also hear some from our committee chair, further discussion with our scholarship recipients. And then at the end, I will leave 10 minutes for anyone who is on this call who would like to ask questions of the scholars. So we'll make this interactive throughout the presentation. Of course, you can put comments in the chat and chat with each other that way. But at the end, we'll give you an opportunity to verbally chat. So without further ado, I would like to go ahead and introduce our 3 scholars. We have 3 scholars who are on the call. And I will give you the bio of each of them in a minute. We have Sita Gossin, we have Linda Kirk, and Michelle Sodan. And I'll mention there was a 4th scholar who is not able to join the call, and that is Anna Petrova. So let's go ahead so I can introduce the scholars. So the first scholar that I'd like to introduce is Sita Gossin. She is Brazilian Lebanese architect who leads projects in affordable housing, sustainable design, and informal settlements. Currently pursuing a PhD at the University of Melbourne, her research focuses on decision-making processes for implementing health and well-being strategies, along with ESG practices within the real estate market. With exposure across Brazil, USA, and Australia markets, Sita is constantly bridging the gap between academia and public and private practice. The next scholar that I'll introduce is Linda Kirk. Linda is the founder of the Just for Women Center in the UK, supporting the mental and physical health of women and young girls who have experienced trauma and have been affected by abuse through the safe place for counseling, well-being workshops, support, and healing. She received the British Citizen Award presented by the House of Lords in January 2019 and the Queen's Award in 2022 for outstanding service in her community, which is County Durham, England. And then I'd like to introduce our third scholar, Michelle Soudin. Michelle is a trauma-trained therapeutic coach, retreat leader, and vice chair of the Global Wellness Institute Africa Wellness Initiative. With over a decade of experience in the global wellness industry and journeys across more than 70 countries, she's a true global citizen, which yet remains first and always a proud African. As the founder of Amanzi Wellbeing, Michelle is guided by the foundation that healing is both personal and collective. Through trauma-conscious retreats and workshops rooted in culture, community, and ancestral wisdom, she bridges the world to Africa's unique healing gifts via the sacred landscapes and rich stories. Her work creates inclusive, accessible spaces for restoration, transformation, and connecting global communities to the continent, while nurturing healing for her local community in Southern Africa. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can hear directly from the three scholars. Sita, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to ask all three scholars the same question. Sita, I'll give you just initially 3 minutes, and then later everyone will have more time. My first question for the scholars is, so you had this wonderful experience of attending the Global Wellness Summit, and can you share how you have benefited from being a scholarship recipient, Sita?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess one of the main, there are many benefits, right? We can bring a huge list here, but I guess the main one, which has impacted a lot, is my current research, right? My academic research. So by being at the Global Summit, you are exposed, you're exposed to a lot of people with a different range and different experts within the wellness community, right? So as an architect, my field of expertise is the built environment, right? But I was exposed to people from different fields. And by talking to them and by sharing experiences and sharing my knowledge, my questions, how should I pursue my research, like taking my research to this field or this area or this way, I guess those experiences, listening to what people have to say and questioning them and asking questions and sharing experiences has really enriched how I'm taking my research onwards now, right? So it has really impacted the way I see my research now, how my research will impact when it's finished, and how I'm taking it so far. Yeah, I guess that's the main impact.
Wonderful. And how much longer do you have for your research? How much longer do you have in your PhD program?
That's such a tricky question, but I have to say that I have, by the end of this year, I plan to finish, but PhD is such a crazy, I don't know, road that we take, but planning to finish it by the end of this year.
Okay. My follow-up question for you, Sita, about the Global Wellness Summit. How was it similar? How was it different from what you expected when you went to the Global Wellness Summit?
I guess, again, the exposure to this big, like huge wellness community. I know I was somehow expecting to see different people, but the way it was structured and the way I saw that the wellness community is huge and supportive, I guess that was, for me, that was a big wall. Like, was not expecting that much.
I could see that. And I know when I first joined the Global Wellness family, it's called a family, and it truly is. Is that the
Yeah.
feeling? I don't know, not to put words in your mouth, but that's the first thing that came to mind with what you just described.
Yeah, I agree, because it is such a community, because sometimes I was talking about my research and I said, oh, I have these and this question, or I'm doing these and this, and that people already know someone else, and they were willing to introduce me to this person or this someone else and make the connections and make things work. So maybe we could do this together, or maybe you should follow this path. Or so it's this huge community beyond the wellness and the beauty environment that I am in.
Right.
Yeah, that brings different perspectives and collaboration. Yeah.
Great, thank you. We're going to come back to you halfway
Sure.
through to get more about what you're doing specifically. So I'm going to turn it over now to Linda. So Linda, the same question that I posed first to Sita, I'd like to pose to you. Could you share a highlight of attending the Global Wellness Summit, or how you have benefited from being a scholarship recipient?
Yes, well, I think for myself, it's a case of, for me, the highlight was when I was chosen. I can't, emphasize how much that was absolutely, brilliant to be part of, this movement. When I got to the Global Wellness, I had no idea what I was going to come to. I have been to conferences before. This was just absolutely something else. It is so amazing. There is so many inspiring people from all wellness sectors. It was unbelievable to have them all in this one building. For me, there was lots of highlights. It was a case of, listening to every speaker, trying to get into as many workshops as I could. As you know, I do work with women and young girls around their mental health with trauma, but we also work with chronic illness. And so coming along and listening to a lot what was around the longevity and how people can help themselves within, looking at their own wellness, finding out the definition of wellness. That was something that was a big highlight for me. And it was a case of, we were working with a lot of women who have come through, that obviously in our centre we are working with cancer patients, because all of our services in the northeast of England have declined so much. And just a little bit personal, I didn't realise that because I was diagnosed with cancer myself this year. So it was a case of, I'm going through my own journey myself now. So I know, how much that I'm getting from what I've learned, how I can take that forward to help other people. And yes, I think the whole process was just absolutely amazing. It was fantastic meeting the team. It was fantastic meeting the other scholar recipients. Absolutely brilliant to get to know them. So everything about it for me was just an absolute learning curve. And I can't say that there was one part of it that I didn't enjoy. It could have went on longer.
Linda, that's wonderful. I thank you for sharing your personal journey as well. I think you bring up such a good point. When we think about going to a conference, a professional conference, we always think, often we think about it for our career, but with Global Wellness Summit, this conference also can benefit us personally in ways we might not realize, which is what you shared. And when you shared trying to get to every workshop that you could go to, it's a lot. I don't know if you felt a little bit tired at the end of the day, but how was it in terms of your energy level?
It was fine. I think me and Michelle, probably, and Cedar, we were getting into everything we could. But I think on a night time, we were probably very tired and going back to our rooms to get ready for the next day. So yes, we just, I think saved our energies on a night time to sort of think, right, we're up the next day and we're there for the rest of the learning, for the rest of whatever was going to be coming onto that platform. It's absolutely outstanding. Yeah, and I kind of, for those people that are going to be asked to go this year, it's an absolute amazing opportunity.
Wonderful. Thanks, Linda. I'll circle back around to you again so we can get more information about the great work that you do. But I'd like to make sure that Michelle joins the conversation. Same question, Michelle. So I'd like to find out if you can share highlights for you from attending the Global Wellness Summit, and how have you benefited from being a scholarship recipient?
Thank you, Nicola. Being in a space where bold ideas meet actionable change really gave me greater inspiration toward my purpose and really expanded my vision for African-centered wellness initiatives. I think one of the biggest, and I will echo back what my colleagues have just said, there were so many, but one of the biggest highlights for me was being in a room full of global wellness leaders and innovators who are people at the end of the day who are just genuinely committed to shaping the future of wellness. That was beautiful, and I don't think there are words enough to explain, but I'll use those for now. I had the chance to engage in really powerful conversations around inclusivity, sustainability, and the intersection of technology and potentially ancestral healing and going back to the past in order to look at the present and the future. So that was a highlight, one of them. The impact for me was the invaluable mentorship. I know you were my mentor, so thank you. And to everyone else, Hannah and Jessie, who were right by my side, and to the other colleagues throughout the summit, the global exposure and the supportive network that continues to open doors. That was one of the great impacts. It really affirmed, Nicola, the value of voice and vision, especially as for someone who is championing underrepresented narratives in the world of wellness. So that for me was part of the impact.
Wonderful. And, Michelle, in listening to you describe your highlights and how you've benefited, kind of what I took away is it sounds like you had really meaningful conversations with people. And I think that's what's really nice about the global wellness community. It's not a cursory, hello, let me move on to the next person. I have found in attending conferences that it's really in-depth conversation. Was that your experience as well?
Yes, it definitely was. It was more the organic, unexpected conversations that you'd have with someone in a corner or over a tea in a break. I know we had our list, all of us, based on the profiles of who we were excited to meet. There were so many, we couldn't meet everyone, but we had a list. But there were some people who were not on the list that completely took us by surprise, just natural. And they're people that I have maintained the friendship. It become beautiful friendships. If anyone's passing through either Zimbabwe or in Dubai, they say, hey, Michelle, I'm coming over. Would you like to meet, or let's explore this project together? So yes, but anyway, I will digress. I think I'll end there.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. I will circle back around to you for sure. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to share a PowerPoint with just a few slides. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Great. What I thought would be nice to add to the conversation is around mentorship and sponsorship, and really listening to Sita, Linda, and Michelle. I think we heard some components of this, so I thought it might be nice just to share information, and I'd love for people in the chat to share their thoughts about this. So there's mentors, there's sponsors, they're similar in their benefits for both, but they're distinct. When we think about a mentor, it's someone who shares knowledge and provides guidance. So they're providing advice, their insights from their own experiences and careers. Maybe classically, mentorship is long-term, and some examples might be navigating a work situation or understanding how an organization works, the system, the culture. And I'd like to contrast that with sponsorship. So a sponsor is someone who actively promotes growth, provides access to opportunities at work, and/or advocates for career advancement. So this extends beyond the traditional mentorship. Sponsors tend to be someone in a position of power, able to open the doors to opportunities for others. That's a sponsor. In contrast, the mentor that I mentioned maybe empowers or it supports the person so they could open the doors for themselves. So there's a little bit of a nuanced difference. And so a sponsor can help them gain recognition, visibility, could be isolated over years, and it could be small actions, but they're very meaningful and powerful. And if we think about what a survey showed from March 2022, of 8,000 adults, 40% of employees have a mentor in the workplace. 23 of employees have a sponsor in the workplace. So I thought in the chat, just to make this interactive in the middle of the presentation, what have been your experiences for people on the call with mentorships, sponsorships, anything you'd like to share in the chat, I thought would be a nice interaction. And continuing with our presentation, I'd like to bring forward Hannah Messerly. So Hannah leads our scholarship committee. She is our chairperson. Dr. Hannah Messerling is the Global Wellness Summit is a Global Wellness Summit advisory board member. She's based in Santa Fe, New Mexico. She's a professor and a former World Bank staffer. She's been active in setting up and implementing the Susie Ellis Scholarship Program from the very beginning and has developed this into the robust program that it is. I am going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to invite Hannah to share some words with us. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nicola. Great to see all of you today. And Susie, Nancy, Jesse, all of you, thank you so much for joining us, and wonderful to see the scholars again. I would like to let you all in on a little secret. And here's the secret. In addition to the opportunity to come to the summit, to have the opportunity to meet amazing people at the summit, listen to terrific, informative presentations, have incredible engagement across these 3.5 days of intense programming. Here's the real secret about Susie Ellis Scholars, and that's the secret of the cohort. The scholars who come together each year in a small group have a chance to support each other, learn from each other, share their anxieties about coming to the summit, share their excitement about being there, who they've met, and also, as time goes by, interact with each other on the type of professional development they're having and some of their ideas and vision going forward. And each year it's a different group. Each year there's a different electricity. But that's what really makes this program so special for the scholars, as well as for all of us who interact with them. And one other just quick comment, because we want to get back to hearing from the scholars, is that for those of you interested in applying, or those who are interested in sharing the program with others, one element to keep in mind is that there is no perfect template of a Susie Ellis Scholar. The diversity of applications that we receive, the extraordinary expanse of experience and insights is each year so incredibly enriching, but also really surprises all of us, because as wellness grows, so does the interest of our scholars, their experiences, and their visions for the future. So for a scholar to come to the summit, it's really she or he is really a person of experience and of energy and curiosity and of enthusiasm as it relates to wellness. And so that to me is the secret sauce that comes together then with the cohort. And each year, as I said, the cohort is a different group of people from around the world, different countries, different backgrounds. And yet as they share with each other and work together throughout the conference and afterwards, they really have a rich opportunity to make new professional friends, unlike you have in any other opportunities, simply because of the shared experience. So Nicola, those would be just my quick comments. And again, thank you for hosting this and sharing your experiences, as well as enabling the scholars to share theirs. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, for your leadership in this important endeavor. let's go back to our scholarship recipients. And so I introduced them in alphabetical order. Now I'm going to do reverse alphabetical order. So I'm going to start with Michelle. Okay, Michelle. So can you please share with us a current wellness project that you're working on or something you're passionate about around wellness in your particular area?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nicola. I'm deeply passionate about mental wellness, specifically from a trauma-informed perspective. My work mainly focuses on creating safe healing spaces that really acknowledge the cultural context and the impacts of trauma in marginalized communities, specifically in Southern Africa, Zimbabwe, where I'm originally from. I'm currently working on developing experiences and programs that support both individual and collective healing. And we will, this coming August, for the entire month of August, I have partnered with a travel partner in Zimbabwe to create workshops, trauma-informed workshops for families, for high school, universities, and the corporate workspace, to just ensure that it's these beautiful practices that are both Afrocentric, but have an element of modern and ancestral wisdom, are accessible and inclusive for the local community. In addition to that, as part of the African Wellness Initiative, we will be launching the inaugural African Wellness Summit this year in October. So we are very excited about that. And those are the two main things that I'm working on at the moment.
Oh, lovely. I want to talk about both of those things. So the first one I'd love to talk about is, it sounds like you're going to be reaching a broad variety of people with your transformative upcoming retreats. And I know your work is rooted in African culture and ancestral wisdom. Can you share with us an example of that? Because I think some of us, not familiar, might be just curious as the unique ways that you do this in your transformational workshops and retreats.
Thank you for that question. I think one of the ones is, well, we have this philosophy called, and some of you may be aware of it, is Sawubona, which is a simple Zulu greeting, translated into English, I see you. So when working with families or with in high schools, particularly with young girls who have either been through sexual abuse or have undergone illegal abortion, there has been no support for them. So Sawubona is what is interlaced in our communal care. We make sure we have grandmothers who are maybe not psychologists, but they know, they've been nurses, and they're also still connected to Afrocentric wisdom. So they're able to hold them, because not everyone has had a maternal guide, and it found it really transformational when working with the group. So I do include the grandmothers from different communities when working with the groups, and it really creates so much healing. So yeah, that's one of them.
How unique, the wisdom of grandmothers. I don't think they need to have a degree from us to learn from grandmothers, period. Nothing more needs to be said. That's just wonderful. So you're the vice chair of the Global Wellness Institute African Wellness Initiative. Could you share some, I know that you shared that you're having an inaugural event. It's just wonderful as a scholarship recipient for you to get involved in that way. Can you share some ideas that you all are thinking about moving forward with that initiative, which is a new initiative? I think it had occurred before, but has come back alive. I can't think of what I was trying to say.
Yes, we are trying to bring together different parts of Africa together. We, as a small team, we can't do it alone. And Africa is such a huge continent. So we have started to have conversations with different practitioners from around the globe, from around the continent. But it's been beautiful because so many people have also reached out. Jesse's been sending us a lot of requests from HubSpot, and it's been amazing with the amount of responses. And I see some of the names, there's some of them. Dr. Jacob was online. He had also reached out. So we're trying to piece together different practitioners or just anyone in the wellness space from different parts of Africa together so that we strengthen our connection. We are only stronger when we're unified and we come together for one purpose. So that's one thing. The other is also enlisting a directory of different African wellness practitioners who uphold different practices that the world does not necessarily know of, from indigenous sound frequencies with different instruments that would be mind-blowing, that not many people have seen. So we've started to find these gems in different ways, and some of them have just miraculously popped up, and we thank Spirit for that. So that's two of the things that we are working on, and yeah.
Thank you, Michelle, for sharing about the projects you're working on, the incredible work that you're doing. I'm now going to transition over to Linda. Thank you, Michelle. Linda, I'd love to hear from you about a wellness project that you are currently working on or something that you are passionate about with the wonderful work that you're doing with women and young girls.
Yes, we're still working on the mental health and trauma with both young girls and women, but we're actually looking at teen wellness. We've done a lot of research since I've came from the global wellness, and in the UK, we've got 75% of young people who have got a mental health issue, and you know, it needs to be addressed. We've spoke to government policymakers. We are working on research at the moment, and we are also working our own workshops. We've made our own bespoke workshops. We've wrote our own initiative, like wellbeing journals. We've put everything into helping the young people that we're working with. A lot of the young people that we work with have already gone through some sort of abuse. You know, so we work with the girls that's gone through grooming gangs, unfortunately. You know, they've gone through historic abuse, domestic abuse. So there's quite a lot of work that we're doing at the moment around these young girls. For the women, we've taken that side to where we're working with a lot with chronic illness. We're noticing that there is a lot, you know, where women have come to us with mental health issues,